Hello, this is a Bechstein Model 7 upright piano, 137 centimetres tall, and one of Bechstein's top models, and we're always very grateful when we get one of these into stock. We did actually sell this piano in 2001, and the clients bought a grand piano, so it doesn't need the upright, though in fact the tone of this piano, because it's so tall, is very similar to a medium-sized upright. This rosewood is spectacular, as rosewood often is, and we repolish these pianos very often, but this one doesn't really need repolishing. It's only very slightly faded on the fall. You can see there's a difference in colour where it's been kept open. It's a piano teacher actually, so she's looked after it extremely well and kept it open most of the time because we've been playing it, obviously. The name here, by the way, has been masked off because when you repolish, when you try and polish the brass up, it tends to darken the wood underneath. So my colleague, the polisher, decided to go over it like that. He's also gone over the whole case work, but that looked better than this patchiness that you get otherwise. And looking at the case in general, it's almost perfect condition. I would say perfect, really. Certainly don't need to do any more. My colleague has already tidied the case up a little bit. You can see the fade line here where the music stand's been down, so that folds away for cosmetic reasons, really. Sometimes they put two music desks on, and you can choose this one, which is slightly higher than the average desk. So that's a very long desk, by the way. The Bechstein one is a very tall piano. We can see, looking inside, how good condition the piano is. There's the 7 for the Model 7. Sold originally by Kramer of 46 Moorgate Street, London. Kramer did sell a lot of pianos and in fact put their own name. I don't know if it's Kramer or Kramer. If you're better at pronunciation than me, please let me know. But this has had new arbor felts put on since we've sold the piano, 2018 apparently, and new dampers as well. There's a slight problem with the dampers, which I'm going to show you first, and that damper's coming off about a third of, when the hammer's about a third of the way to the string, which is fine. But in the bottom here, this bottom C, it's coming off very, very early, so that needs regulating. It makes it feel heavy, and there's a variety really, so quite a few of them are early, including in the middle, and the dampers aren't all lifting off with the pedal either, so exactly the same amount of time as with the pedal. So it does mean that they'll feel different when you're playing the piano, and you want obviously to feel the same as each other. So there's good damping though. There's one or two actually, having said that we want to try and improve, just get them just a little bit quicker on damping, more cutting off better, but generally good. And the tone, well, why we love this model is it's superb, and even the break point here, you don't notice much difference. There's a little bit of voicing to do on that one. Break point here. That note is always harder to damp, so they put a fly damper on, which is a very good idea. Yamaha do the same actually. But these are original strings and have the original Bechstein tone, which we really appreciate. So it has some very high quality tapes here, which is connecting tapes here, bridle tapes they're called, and they're regulated well, so the hammers lift slightly if you lift the hammers up here, and then the bridle tapes take off. You want a slight slack in them, but not too much. And these have been changed as well, the catches there, and this is extra spring on Bechstein's, if you can see it on the video there. A lot of Bechsteins have that extra spring, apart from models 5 and 10, they all have this extra spring here, which is for quicker repetition. It means you've got to regulate so that the check tends to check closer to the string, and that's correct. So that's quite close to the string, checking instead of the usual 5/8 or so. It's checking really close, and you need to when you've got this extra spring here. So the main work written down here is regulating the dampers. They're really quite very much in need of regulation. Adding felt underneath here, there's just beginning to mark the piano there, so I could do some more felt there. And I didn't mention that the dampers are catching the hammers. I'm going to show you that. So I noticed that this note here was a bit weaker than the one next to it, and my colleague who does dampers and hammers all the time pointed out to me that that is touching the damper next to it, so you can see there. So obviously the hammer needs shaving off a little bit. It's not uncommon for us to find problems like this. There was one or two others he pointed out to me as well, so that's something we'll obviously do. Apart from that, the weighting, it's lightish, but not too light. So if you want a light touch, 44 is acceptable really. I think it feels very beautiful as it is, but if you're practicing and want to study, you might want it 2 or 3 grams heavier, which we can easily do for you. So that's the Bechstein Model 7, one of the taller ones. It's the second tallest, and really appreciated whenever we get one of these in. Very consistently good pianos. Such a warm tone and generally mellow. It's got beautiful new hammers onto it. So it's nearly perfect really in terms of the touch, the tone, as good a piano as you can get, and being very tall, it's like having a medium-sized grand piano really. And the touch is excellent. With these Bechsteins with the extra spring, you do have extremely good repetition. So if you're interested in the piano, please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com.